Yep, it's working.
Yay! Okay.
Yep, I see the light in there.
The light at the end of the tunnel? No, I'm just kidding.
The live at the end. Yeah, the live at the end of the tunnel. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Alrighty. So jump right on in. Okay, so imagine you are Merton. Is that how you pronounce her name? Merton?
I'm going with that.
That's good?
Merton, yeah. Merton, yes.
It's time for your 9 a.m. meeting with Tevins and Harris. What position would you advocate in that meeting? Considering, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Is it Stepancic?
That one. We'll go with that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names, so I'm like, it sounds close
His
enough.
name is. I've seen it.
I almost want to say Stempnick, but I don't think that's anywhere close, actually.
Whatever works for everybody.
Yeah. Unfortunately for that one, I guess I'll go first if no one minds. The position I would be in for that is the fact that not only is this not the first time, there have been reports where this gentleman hasn't been following the safety procedures, and unfortunately a contractor, or I believe an electrician, got seriously hurt as a result of that. So with that involved, I would definitely be on the side of wanting to get rid of him. Not anything personal, it's just that the company is already having difficulties trying to get the coworkers more active in following the safety procedures and rules, and the supervisor has directly kind of ignored those rules, and as a result, someone's gotten hurt. So with that in mind, I would definitely try to argue the fact that he is a good person in being able to motivate and lead his employees, but he's not conforming to the safety procedures that have been put in place to reduce the injuries that they've been experiencing. So in a sense, he's not willing to conform with the company's rules. And at that point, he's a risk, because if he doesn't kind of get himself together, if he were to stay, he's most likely going to keep ignoring those rules and not following those procedures, and more people are going to get hurt.
Well
I
said.
agree 100% with what you just said.
Yay!
Yeah. And if the employees see him getting away with that, they're going to think they can get away with it, and then their safety record
Exactly.
is gone.
Yeah, there was it was like 5 years ago, right after my mission, I worked at a sheet metal fabrication shop. And so we worked with big, large equipment to mold metal, to shape it, to cut it, even to weld. And so there was a lot of different ways to get injured and to get injuries. And one of the big things they did was put in safety protocols. And if you did anything that was outside of their handbook of rules that could potentially get you or someone else injured, they sent you home, no questions asked, with no pay that day. And if it happened a couple times, I can't remember the exact number of times, but then you were let go. And it was because they had this one experience where this gentleman who had been employed for like 10 years, and he decided to carry this piece of metal by himself that was extremely hard, and he ended up tearing a muscle on his back. And because of that, he went on unemployment, and that cost him a fortune. He was on he was milking it for like a year and a half, and it cost him a fortune. And that was the last time they were going to make a mistake like that, to let someone be stupid and to, almost ruin their business.
Yeah.
So you got to fire him.
And also in the facts, it mentions that this is his third incident that happened.
Yeah.
And I know that most companies have a 3-strike rule. So
With
Like
it,
baseball.
yeah, with it being the third strike, I think it's more than reasonable to fire him. It's unfortunate, but it's not like he didn't bring it on himself by blatantly disregarding the rules, and that wasn't even the first time.
yeah, and it's not like he hasn't been warned.
Mm-hmm.
They've said to him multiple times, hey,
Yeah.
do this, you need to do this. And he's continued to do whatever he wanted. Okay, so
Yep.
Next question is it all Stepansik's fault?
Well, no, the electrician could have refused to do the work too. He said, no, I'm not doing it. That's not safe.
Very good
But
point.
wasn't the electrician also from an outside source? Like he was brought in?
That shouldn't make any difference. If you're an outside contractor or an internal employee, if it's unsafe, should not be allowed to work.
It doesn't say. It just says an electrician.
Right. But that's irregardless of who they work for, they should not have to work in unsafe conditions.
Okay, because I was just thinking if he was an outside contractor, he may not know all the procedures or policy in place, and so I figured that could be a reason why he would not sometimes be willing to say, hey, I don't want to work in this condition.
Well, also, whenever a company brings in outside contractors, those outside contractors have to go through safety orientation and training, and they have to go through training on all their policies and procedures, so he should have known.
Okay, that I didn't know. So yeah, so I would definitely say it's about kind of 50-50. Most on the supervisor, because he's the one who's supposed to be enforcing those rules and making sure they're being followed. And then the other is kind of on the electrician, since he would have known those policies and choose to disregard them. So yeah, it's both.
And he went ahead and worked anyway. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I was just going to mention the electrician could have done the safety protocols, even with the supervisor saying, but he chose not to. So it's.
Well, said they slipped on some loose material. That loose material should have been moved to start with before they start work too. Make sure the area is safe to work in.
Exactly. What are the implications for workers, families, supervisors, and senior management if he is fired?
Depends on who they are.
Yeah.
If it's his family, then he's going to be going without pay. But if it's other people's family, then they're going to gain safe working conditions for their family members that work there.
Okay.
And as far as senior management, they might have to give up a little bit of profit to provide more safety in the plant.
I also think for all of the employees, it's definitely going to be more of an eye-opening experience, since when the new safety procedures were put into place, the management kept getting a lot of complaints about it being a pain or unnecessary, and that other people had been doing it for so long their way. And so I think a lot of it with firing the one supervisor, that'll definitely kind of show everyone who's involved, whether it's top management all the way to the newly hired on employee, that they mean what they say. If you're not going to follow the safety rules and procedures, you will not be employed by the company.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I feel like him being fired almost makes like an example out of the workplace policy to all of the other management and supervisors, like, hey, you've had the training, you understand the implications here, now you see what happens when you don't follow up with what we've been telling you to do. We employ you, and if you don't want to do what we ask, we'll unemploy you.
Exactly.
And that goes along with the next question. What message would firing Stepansik send?
I think Alex summed that up perfectly.
He did, yeah. He covered that one already.
Whoops.
That's okay.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, you're doing good.
That's fine. Yeah.
Would it be fair to fire Stepansik considering how other supervisors treat safety issues?
That's kind of a tough one. I still say yes, just because of the fact that the supervisor, whose name I still can't pronounce, he has had incidents, I think, 3 times already. And to me, how long are they going to let it keep going before something happens to where someone actually dies? Which you've already read, there's been at least 1 death already. And no company needs to experience that. And with dealing with the possibilities of not conforming to the safety policies, to me, they have to fire him, and all the other managers have to realize the safety procedures are in place for a reason. You need to follow them.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just I was just going to say, by them firing Stepanchek, whatever his name was, the other supervisors will see that they are serious about enforcing safety rules, and the safety rules are there for a reason. And they can't slide by on what they've done for the last 10, 15 years. It's not that kind of culture anymore. They can't do that, and they're striving for zero lost time injury and accidents, which is a pretty lofty goal in a place like that. But
Oh yeah.
they're pretty close. And what was amazing is their statistics were better than other plants that are not in that line of that kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I was impressed with their track record. They've made quite a bit of improvements.
Yeah, they're better than the other aluminum plants and also better than other industries, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to get those results or to keep getting improvement, sometimes you have to make those hard calls and fire people that, blatantly, disregarded the rules, which are pretty black and white when it comes to, safety.
Exactly. In the long run, it'll save them time, money, and effort.
Well, look at it this way: if a person goes out on injury and loses time, say they're off a year or whatever, the money that they spent in safety programs and policies is much less expensive than what they would have to pay for this person to recover, because they have to pay workman's comp and all this other stuff. And it actually, in the long run, it's actually cheaper for them to have all these safety programs in place and not have anybody get hurt.
Yeah. And a dislocated shoulder takes a long time to heal, especially if you have to have surgery on it.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. It sounds painful.
Yeah. Not fun.
Well, and then the medical bills,
That-
not
Yeah.
only workman's comp, but if it's medical bills stack up quickly.
They do.
Right.
Okay. So in the next part, it said to divide us into different groups, but we don't have that many people. So I'll just go through the questions and we can all just discuss. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So it says to look at Exhibit 5 in the reading. You all have it with you?
I'm going to pull it up.
I have it.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up
I
as
have mine
well.
right here.
Take your time.
Exhibit 5. Okay.
Okay, I found it.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's on page 15 of the 22.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. So it asks us to figure out which injury numbers are improving and which means they're going down, and which ones are not improving, meaning that they're going up. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, they're all going down, aren't they?
They're all
Let's see.
going down to a degree. There's been a few instances where they've gone up, but not compared to how they were back in 1987 or even 1990. So they're still relatively low, but some things have gone up a little bit. Like, for instance, atmospheric. Back in 91, it was at a 2 for July, and now in August, it's at a 3. Same thing with congestion. In July, it was at 3, and now in August, it's at 4.
That's true.
So it's pretty low compared to all the other years that they've had. Those have just been the minor increases that they've seen in the past month.
Yeah, but look at
But everything
Go ahead.
is definitely going down by a lot.
Yeah. It's only gone up like one point though. But look at where they started. Back in 87, it was 110 going down to 3 to 4.
Yeah.
So
So it's almost not
that's
even worth
quite a
really
good job. What's that?
Oh, I said with it going down that much, it's almost not even worth being concerned about it, but it would just still be something to keep an eye on. That way you make sure that it doesn't continue to go up.
I think their plan was to keep going down.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal was 0% injuries. But that's a hard goal. That's a tough goal to reach.
It is.
Alrighty. With what we were just discussing about the safety, and are you surprised that they started to go back up?
I wouldn't say surprised, but not really. I don't know. With the way that supervisor was treating the safety in his department, I feel like if that is any measure of how the rest of the department is, or the rest of the plant is, then I'm not necessarily surprised. I feel like the numbers are probably going to bounce around back and forth just depending on how cautious the person is, I guess, who's working in the dangerous environment, if they're going to put themselves in a dangerous environment and disregard the safety to begin with.
Okay.
I think it also has to do with, it just depends on, I think it has to depend on the day of the week sometimes. It just depends on somebody's not having a good day. I think if it had gone up dramatically, then it would be alarming. It would be a surprise. But it hasn't gone up dramatically, so.
No.
Yeah, it's like you have good days, you got bad days. Some days the
Yeah.
stars align, and sometimes they come crashing down and hit you in the face.
Right?
That's true. So yeah, overall, I think they've done extremely well considering where they've started. And I think so long as those numbers stay low, at least definitely compared to where they were at least 3 years ago, they should be fine. Because as we've all kind of said, everyone has ups and downs. There could be days where sometimes things in the cosmos just want to cause chaos. So with that in mind, if the numbers stay low, I don't think they need to have concern. But if those numbers keep going up, then I would definitely be wanting to kind of look into it and see what it is that's causing it and try and find a way to fix it. That way you can get those numbers back down.
Right. Sorry. Okay, so now let's look at Exhibit 6.
Okay.
Everybody there?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so it says now go through the list of sample injuries and look for common themes and causes.
Well, I know the first two are definitely something where I want to say they're kind of similar in the fact that for whatever reason, things were not in a position where the worker was separated physically from the work. Like, for instance, when loading a truck, the fork truck ran over someone's right foot. And then when someone was going up against the first step, they missed it and then kind of fell against a riser. So some of those are accidents, but I definitely feel that you need to kind of have places where you know where you're supposed to walk or where you're supposed to stand. So that I think would be something to work on, would be the positioning of employees and objects.
I've noticed, I've been looking at also at these. The second one, they missed a step. The third one, the foot slipped on chips. Fourth one, they lost their footing. Those are all pretty similar, just slipping.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that might be like they have the wrong kind of footwear. Maybe that the soles aren't gripping, and that could be why they're slipping.
Could be.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
That's actually one thing I was thinking about with that concern. Because at my job, when there's a lot of safety hazards, we were required to wear steel toe boots. So just in case something were to fall on our feet, metals or equipment, that it would at least take some of the impact off of a potential, broken foot or toes flying off here and there.
Right. You probably had to wear a hard hat and safety glasses too, didn't you?
Safety glasses, hard hat, it depended on the situation, whether we were transporting, things from one part of the warehouse to the other.
That's interesting. Okay. Places everywhere I've always worked, they're always required 100% hard hat unless you're in the break room or the office. Anywhere else, you had to wear hard hat. and safety glasses and steel toe shoes and all that stuff.
So, well, yeah, I guess the reason sometimes we didn't have the hard hats is because we had to put the welding mask on and
Oh,
so-
okay.
yeah, and there was a wood, so it's kind of hard to describe, but yeah, in probably half the time we had to, and half the time we didn't.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, also for the engineering inspector construction, there's a person trying to get into a basket and there was grease and water on the floor, which caused them to slip and they dislocated their left shoulder. So with that, I definitely say cleanliness probably, and making sure that everything's picked up or maintained in a cleanly fashion. That would be something to keep an eye out on. I'm trying to see if there's another one like that though.
Yeah.
Put like non-slip rubber mats or something
Yeah.
if something does.
I imagine though, being in a environment like that, it's a constant to keep good housekeeping.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You have to constantly be on top of keeping everything clean, otherwise it gets pretty littered pretty quick. And so sounds like it might be somewhat housekeeping as well. It's
Mhm.
housekeeping and being careful.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just writing this down. All right. Any other themes, causes? No. Okay. What can
Sounds
you?
like to slow down. Sounds like slow down. Be careful. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. What can you learn about safety at Mission Valley from this list?
Don't stand in front of fast-moving forklifts carrying stuff.
Pretty heavy stuff.
Yes. That's definitely one. I would certainly
That's a good point.
I would certainly say that all employees and all staff members need to be aware of their surroundings and kind of have a buddy system, especially if you're going to be working with like things that kind of go up and everything. If there's going to be things moving around above you or they're zipping by, kind of have a buddy system where you're able to maintain eye contact with someone and be there in case they slip or fall, and just kind of have like an extra pair of hands to hopefully keep someone from getting hurt. That would be one. I don't know how well it would work, but it's an idea. But definitely slow down and be mindful of your surroundings and what you're doing.
Yeah. Pay
I
attention.
agree with this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with the slow down. Slow down, be careful. And the one thing I did like is all the engineering that they went to make things safer. They actually divided the walkways from the driving areas, and they said where there was where you had to wear hearing protection, it was walking only. You couldn't have a fork truck sneak up behind you and not hear it. You know, just stuff like that they did to make things more engineering controls, what they're called.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. Do you think productivity would go down with increased safety?
I think it depends on the extent of the safety measures. If everyone had to kneel down and do like a 30-second check on each of their shoes every time they walk through the plant to make sure they weren't untied, like that would be overkill. But I mean, I think improved safety in general, even if it does take a little bit more time, I don't think it will be major, and it will be caught up in people not getting injured, because injuries take a lot of time.
Well, not only that, once you start doing stuff like that, you actually get into the habit of doing it. And once you start getting in the habit, you just automatically do it, and it doesn't take much longer than normal to do that.
Mm-hmm. Once it becomes part of the routine, it's
Right.
you just do it. Second nature.
Yeah, you just automatically do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would definitely say that with some of the safety policies they've put into place, it's not going to slow down their productivity. Most of the cases, it's not overly extreme. It's just more kind of common sense. And because everyone's trying to get everything done so quickly, it's, hey, take a minute to realize what you're doing and kind of pay more attention. So with that in mind, I don't think it would hurt productivity. I think it would actually kind of improve it because everyone's aware of what's going on. No one's going to get hurt. And as it was mentioned earlier, if someone does get hurt by not following those safety procedures, that's just going to take more time away from work getting done because now they have to take care of someone who may have broken a foot or dislocated a shoulder or had their finger cut off.
Or not only that, they end up shutting down the plant for a while,
Exactly.
or that part of the plant until they figure out what happened, find out what was happening, what the conditions were, and if there's a body part, they got to find the body part.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Like,
Throw your
which
finger in
one-
your shirt pocket and go to the
Right.
ER.
right, yeah. Well, I used to work in a food ingredient plant, and if something like that would happen, they would shut it down until they found out exactly what happened and why.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, being metal, it's not as bad, but I mean, at food, in a food plant, I imagine an injury where blood was drawn can be a pretty big deal.
It's a
Oh,
big, yeah.
Yeah, they have to clean everything, make sure food's not contaminated, and it's a very long process.
Right. And anything that did get contaminated, it's gone. It's thrown out.
Yep.
Yep.
Lost forever.
Right.
Send it my way. I'll take some discount finger chicken.
Might be a little bit more crunchy than normal, but okay.
Yeah.
Extra protein.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Which type of problem do you think is easiest to solve? The ones that are expensive or the ones that involve people's behavior, and why?
Honestly, I'd say the hardest one is probably people's behavior, just because of the fact, and this is the way I'm going to explain it. Hopefully it kind of makes sense. When you have people and they don't like something, kind of like with politics, for instance, if you have a group of people that are not for something the government is trying to do, you're going to have more people that are going to possibly join the group of rioters, and they're going to say, hey, we don't like this. And it just kind of keeps that mentality going. And so trying to not only stop and change those people's mentality, it's a process. It doesn't work overnight, unfortunately. And you have to keep working at it over and over. Whereas for the more expensive things, yes, it does cost more up front, but in the long run, it's going to pay for itself, where you're not going to have to worry about the issues that come from people getting hurt. And it's more or less kind of a one-time thing where you take the hit now, but it saves you later on. And that's one thing I've noticed when you work with your employees. Everyone has a different mindset, and trying to get them on the same page and understand where you're coming from, but also make sure that they feel they're being heard, that can be very difficult. And a lot of times some managers aren't able to do that, and that's where company morale gets shot all the way down, and then they just don't care and they're not going to follow the rules.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say also, there was an example in the story where the guy said, well, we've been doing it this way for 15 years, as long as I've been here, and nothing's happened yet. Well, not yet. And then also you've got people who do things when there's nobody looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've seen that before too. Like, oh, is it, okay, safety guys are here. Okay, go ahead and I'll keep an eye out for you, and you go ahead and knock it out real quick. That way we don't have to spend half an hour to an hour getting everything we need just to go up and do that. And then you wonder how many of all the incidences of people getting hurt, how many times did people work unsafely but nothing happened?
Yeah.
And that's what they take into consideration as well.
But it only takes one time
Yep.
for someone to get hurt for them to finally
Right.
realize what they were doing.
Yeah. How many times have they been doing it before somebody got hurt?
Exactly.
That, and it only takes half a second for someone to miss a step, or for a piece of like for the rings to get caught on something and have it either cut your hand or take off a finger. It only
Right.
takes half a second for that.
Then they call you Nine Finger from then on.
Yeah. And then you can't get rid of that nickname.
That's right.
And then all your coworkers
Yep.
laugh at you, and it's terrible.
Right. Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep.
That is horrible. That's funny because I know someone who got their hand all messed up in an accident, and for the longest time, his name was Three Finger Willie. Everyone knew him by Three Finger Willie.
Oh,
Oh,
Poor guy.
Yep.
Oh, so it's just that cracks me up.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I remember my grandparents, both of them had missing fingers. They worked in the industries back in the 30s and 40s.
Ooh, there
Back
was
when all the
not
safety
hardly
stuff was
any.
in place, right? And I remember my grandmother and grandfather both had fingers gone.
Oops.
all right. What challenges are Mission Valley up against, or is Mission Valley up against? Over there. It's right.
Probably pushback from workers as they continue to strap down on safety regulations and rules.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. And then the other example, they said they were going to slow the fork trucks down to 4 miles an hour, and they started raising objections. And then they found out that the other groups that one that was driving 4 miles an hour was afraid the other groups were going to make fun of them for being so pokey around the plant.
Yeah, it was. In
So
my
it-
opinion, that was a stupid reason.
That was a dumb reason, but that was a big objection for them. Right? They didn't want to stand out and be the source of being poked fun at. Yeah. So, and they said, no, everybody's going to slow down, so it's okay.
And it did, and it saved them a lot of money overall. The cars had less wear and tear. They didn't constantly break down, and it actually improved not only everyone's safety, but the trucks lasted a lot longer.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah, see?
I can see that. I've worked in a warehouse, and forklift guys love to rip on those things.
Yep.
So putting regulations on their speed would definitely, I've seen it, yeah, it would definitely save them
cry.
maintenance costs.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm working a job right now. We're working at the Amazon warehouse packing trucks,
Mhm.
and their complaint is that they've limited to 4 miles an hour, and Amazon wants to increase their speed so we can get more done.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like, really?
But Amazon already has a high turnover rate and a lot of injuries, so I think it's
Yep.
going to make it even more problems.
Mm-hmm.
I bet their
Yep.
2-hour or not. They do same day delivery now in some places too, which is crazy.
Yeah, they do. They
Which
do.
I bet
Yeah.
makes their warehouses probably pretty hectic.
Yeah.
Oh, it can be nuts.
With
Yeah.
the orders just pouring in and people like, this needs to go now.
Well, what they do is they separate them into different trucks. One truck goes to Minneapolis, one truck goes to Chicago, one truck goes to down south, and then you have FedEx and overnight and 2-day delivery, and you just have to separate them out by where they're going.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep.
All right. Well, now that we're off the subject,
That's okay. All right. What has Mission Valley done in the past to improve its safety record so much that they have so few serious injuries compared with other similar companies?
Definitely slowed down the trucks to 4 miles an hour.
right?
Mhm.
Plus painting it, I think every 6 months they paint it orange.
Yep. They paint them. Yep.
Yeah, and then they have the lights on top, so they are constantly trying to make sure that the truck is always visible. They've gone and made, I think, walkways or like pathways where they painted places or basically lines on the ground where employees can walk and then trucks can move. So that's kind of helped separate people from getting ran over.
I think the fact that they just don't brush safety issues under the rug, because I bet I wouldn't be surprised to see the amount of other warehouses in the industry that, I don't know, they just don't take it seriously.
Well, I think also the firing of that one foreman probably sent a message to everybody there: either obey the rules or you're gone.
Mhm.
And I think they'd rather fire somebody than have to tell that family that they've been killed or have been injured on the job.
Yeah, or he was the cause
Send
of
him
someone
home.
being killed.
Right, or been injured, yeah. But I think rather than getting somebody hurt, they would rather fire somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll save them a lot of headaches down the road because if someone does die, unfortunately, the family of the deceased member could ultimately sue the company.
Mm.
Oh yeah, especially if they come up with proof that not all the safety precautions were being followed.
Exactly.
That
And that's a big lawsuit that could definitely turn into a class action lawsuit if there's multiple incidents like that.
Right.
Yeah.
The company won't survive.
Well, and you think about the guy who was fired, he might be upset losing his job, but imagine at least for me, the mental like bearing and the load it would take on if you knew you told someone not to worry about the safety rules because they're stupid and then they went and died because of you. That
Yep.
would absolutely eat me up inside. So,
Right.
I mean, to be fired, I mean, potentially you're saving someone from like huge amounts of guilt.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It didn't help the electrician, but it would help people down the line, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay. Will doing more of the things that have improved their safety record help them move the rest of the way toward their goal?
I would say so. They're on the right track. They've already got a lot of progress going where they're in the direction they're wanting to head. And I think as they just kind of keep going down the list of things that are the main causes for injuries, and they kind of take steps to fix them, then yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be where they want to be.
Yeah, it can't be fixed overnight. You just have to keep making those changes as often as they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is changing the mindset of the people that work there.
Yeah, that's hard.
The culture-
Changing their mindset, yeah, and realizing that they need to do this for their own safety, for their own good. You know, the
Yeah.
idea is for you to go home in the same condition you come in. And so if they get everybody to get along those same lines, then I think that would help a lot.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. And we've touched about this a little bit, but what are the challenges for the future?
Definitely getting everyone in the same mindset of understanding that safety procedures are put in place to make sure that you can go home in the same condition that you showed up to work in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by nature, us as humans like, the things that we're comfortable with. And so sometimes when you have to create a new culture of safety, new things, a new attitude, a new way of thinking, or new procedure, sometimes it's hard to ingrain that in people's mind and get them to be excited or implement that. So it's always a challenge.
But if you're
Yeah.
fair and consistent about it, I think that helps a lot.
I think a lot of people are, I mean, without like a major, I mean, I don't know. I would use almost the death as an example to the rest of the employees because I feel like unless you use like an example to them, they'll be like, well, where's the issue? We need to be safe, but we're getting by with our current methods. What are you talking about? Stop jamming this gibberish down our throats.
Exactly.
Even my job, they do that. We had a few employees, they weren't following safety procedures, and unfortunately they were using a forklift and they weren't operating it correctly, and the product they were trying to move, it fell, and unfortunately when it fell, some of it fell on them and they kind of lost their hand because it just got crushed and it had to be amputated.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the lessons that my training people they'll say is, imagine going to the restroom, and when you finished your business, imagine trying to wipe, but you only have one hand. Like, do you really want to risk not having a second hand just for the menial everyday tasks that you do? Like, even if you're at work, you have to use the restroom. Imagine when you're at home. And so with that, some of the more extreme stories, they're really sad. No one likes to hear about it, but it does make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why after that, no one else has lost a hand, thankfully.
No more mega loads of groceries.
Yes.
You have to make lots of trips.
Yes.
There are a lot of videos. There's a lot of videos out that showing people having things like that happen to them.
Oh, yeah. And it's a shame.
And it's amazing. And yeah, I had to go to some safety training, and that's what the guy did for the first 10, 15 minutes to show different clips of things happening to people. I mean, nothing. You don't see any details, but you can see that definitely they're having a problem.
Oh yeah.
So, and then you're talking about being able to use one hand. Well, you're only going to be using one hand for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Like, it sucks if you're right-handed and you lose your right hand. You got to learn how to do everything with your left-handed.
That would be hard.
how are you going to drive your car with the stick shift?
Yep, exactly. I don't think you can do it.
You could, but it would be hard.
Yeah, like bite the steering wheel if you have to make a turn, and then like shift with your good hand or your rolling hand,
Right.
and then like try and grab back. Be like, yeah, that'd be too much of a
Probably
process.
wouldn't have that. You probably wouldn't have that car very long though. It would be a pain.
Yeah,
Ugh.
be like, I'll take the automatic.
I would miss my 4-speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be sad.
Alrighty.
All right, Aaron. Sorry.
That's
Sorry.
okay. What are some suggestions that you would use to convince people to behave differently?
The hand experience.
The hand, well, yeah, the hand example is perfect.
Yeah.
Or
Definitely
People
that
relate
one.
to stories, so that's perfect.
the what?
Show 'em-
People relate to stories, experiences, and so
Right. Yep.
sharing like that all made an impression on our minds. So just imagine do to people at her job.
Yeah.
Yep.
show them a picture of their family or their kids, and they'll say, "Now imagine their faces when they find out you died on the job today." And just
Oh my
make
gosh.
it,
yes,
make
that
it
would be
sink
really-
in. That would be like rough.
It would hit home.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the company probably make an they want to emphasize the point that if it does take a little longer, that's okay. If you need to take the time, the company I worked at last, if it took longer to do something right, that's how they wanted it done.
Yep. Quality over quantity.
Yep.
Mhm.
Exactly. Okay. So it's asking me to ask everybody whether they always follow state procedures. Okay, so do you always wear your seatbelt?
Yes.
Yes.
Almost
I yell at my
always.
passengers when they don't wear theirs.
If I'm
You
like,
what? What's that?
"What's up?"
What'd you say,
Oh, I almost.
Samantha?
Oh, sorry.
Me?
Go ahead, Samantha.
That's okay. I was gonna say, if my passengers aren't wearing their seatbelts, I start yelling at them until they put it on.
Right?
Because you can be pulled over for that, not wearing your seatbelt. You get a ticket.
Yep.
See, that's the thing though. My kids, we all just automatically grab the seatbelt and put them on. When I was young, we never wore seatbelts.
Mm.
When I was a kid, but now we always wear them. So it's just a habit.
When I was living in Rexburg, I got in a bad habit of not wearing my seatbelt because I never drove over 25 miles an hour.
Oh yeah.
But like getting on the highway, I'd put it on. But just like between class and my apartment, I'd never bother to put it on.
Aw. And
Just
I
don't
can
get-
understand why, because you're not going fast, but still though, you should wear
Yeah,
it.
still a bad habit.
Yeah, but don't get pulled over between class and your apartment.
Oh heck no! I'd put it on so I could speed away.
Okay.
Okay, so another one is, do you always drive the speed limit?
Yes,
No.
and it drives my kids nuts.
Now I'm
You
feeling.
also
You're
like
making me feel guilty. All these
The only
questions.
time I don't is when there's no one nearby for miles, and then I'll do like 10 over.
Ugh.
I was told to ask this question, so don't blame me. I'm just asking.
I generally
Text and drive.
Do we what?
Text and drive.
No, I'm
No,
not that talented.
absolutely not. I can't do that either.
I text the stoplights.
Yeah,
And
I
then sometimes I get honked at because I don't realize it turned green.
I'm sorry. I'm probably one of those people that would honk at you after about like 5 seconds. I'm like, go.
Come on.
I totally deserve to get honked at if I'm not moving.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm one of those people. I'll honk at you. I'm sorry.
Okay, where is Linda's list? Okay, so I'll stop asking those questions so we don't.
We don't feel bad.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Lost her. Okay. So now let's go through Linda's plan for 1992 and talk about each plan that she has for the safety.
Was that one of the exhibits?
Yeah, I'm looking through. Can't find the. Oh, I think I found it. It's on page 21.
Okay. Let me scroll there.
Yeah, it's basically the summary of department.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so which ones will help get the company to its goal?
Well, number 3 may not work as well as they think it is, and not everybody will read the newsletter.
Yeah.
May not work as well.
I think number 5 would be good. Kind of make it fun and also reward and recognize those that are following the safety procedures. That'll be kind of good.
I think that's a very good one. Yeah, the places I worked at, if you make like 90 days or if you make 180 days or whatever without a lost time accident, they'll bring lunch in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think that ever incentivized people to like not report incidents?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's something I didn't think about.
But
If I knew we were like 5 days away from like getting lunch and I like cut my finger, I would be super hesitant to tell. I'd be like,
Well-
oh man.
well, that cutting your finger wouldn't affect it because that would be a lost time accident. Lost time accident. would be
Lost time
something-
accident.
Yeah, that you have to take the rest of the day off for.
Okay.
If you get cut on your finger, then you will have to tell your supervisor, and they will put a Band-Aid on, and then you go back to work.
Unless you cut your hand off.
If you cut your hand off, that would be yes.
If I cut my hand
Yeah.
off, I would have no issue telling someone,
If you
Yeah,
cut your hand off, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
get my hand back on.
Just be like,
I think-
hey, and go and wave. I'm like, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like,
It's over there.
I did this
I
on
think
the
you're-
I did this in the parking lot. We still get lunch, right?
I did this at home, man. I didn't do this here.
But
Yeah.
I need work to cover it because it might be slightly related. I just can't tell you how.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you after the party how it happened.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on my hand experience.
Yeah.
That's been a memory that has stuck with me forever.
Yeah. I think number 2 is a good one. Continue the stage 3 training. Make them all aware of what they need to be accountable for, and what they need to watch out for. I think number 2 is a good one that they need to continue with.
Number 3, or I'm sorry, not number 3. Number 1 is really good. I definitely like how they have the reporting procedure on there, as well as having a detailed tracking and also for a report. That way they can kind of see when accidents are most likely to happen, which is probably during holidays. People want to rush, get home, be with their families, as well as Fridays. They probably don't want to be there. It's Friday. They want to party.
Or Monday.
Yeah, or Monday. They have the Monday drag. So I think that would be helpful in kind of understanding the mindset of the employees, as well as see when there's incidents that could be caused by something simple, that they just haven't had a chance to recognize yet. That would be it.
Actually, that would also identify patterns. If there's a pattern developing, they would be able to see it that way.
Yes.
Like,
Okay.
we should probably cover that machine or something.
From the list.
What?
What do you think is missing from the list? What do you think that they should add?
They should make sure all employees should report any injuries regardless of how minor. Even if they got a paper cut by opening their paycheck and getting their check out of the envelope and get a paper cut, you still need to report it.
Yeah. I would recommend that for when they go and they have their safety trainings, about maybe once a month, just it only takes 5 minutes. Give them a test. Make sure they're actually remembering the safety training. Say, hey, I want you to take this test. It could be 10 questions. And like just circle the answer you think is best. And then that way, if they are getting something wrong, you can say, okay, let's go back and remember for the training. This is why we covered this reason right there, this rule. And that way it's a good way to kind of keep on track with employees of what rules and policies you have in place, as well as help make sure that everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing. I think that would be something that they would add. My job does that.
And to continue on that, if they don't pass the test, would they be able to work?
No, because clearly they don't know the rules enough to be able to work there. But at that point, I would say they have to redo a training program, and when they go and they redo it, issue another test. If they pass it, then they can go back to work. But if not, no, they can't pass the test.
Any other suggestions? Nope. All right. Okay, so that's everything. That I think we covered everything well about safety and the importance of it in the workplace. The hand ones were good. That was fun. Okay, so what did you learn from talking about this case that would apply to future workplaces?
That rules are put in place for not only your safety, but everyone else's safety. So you should follow the rules. Even when no one's watching.
Especially if no one's watching.
Yeah.
You know, there'll be a lot of times when you think, oh, I can just do this real quick and get it, you know, and I'll save them 10 minutes. No, probably not. That'd be the time they get hurt, and then they need the next however long it takes to get over whatever happened. So.
Alrighty. Rate the overall quality of today's discussion from 0 to 10.
It was 10.
We had a good discussion. I was
We
impressed.
had a great discussion.
We'll put up our hand 10 for the hands. Just kidding. What did
Unless you lose a finger.
Yeah. Don't lose a finger or a hand.
Yeah, if you lose a finger, you only do 9.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
That's okay. All right. What did you like about me as the discussion leader?
I really love the fact that when you would give us a question and we would reply, you kind of had a follow-up question. That way, not only would we state our opinion, we could also go and then defend it or further explain where we're coming from. So I thought that was awesome.
Thank you.
Yep. I think you did a good job on covering. I think you did a good job on covering everything outlined as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You kept us in line when we started getting off topic, but you let us wander a little bit and still have fun. So you rode you rode it well.
Then you shepherd us back onto the path.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We gotta have that, you know, a little bit of fun with a little bit of serious, you know, balance.
Yeah.
Not just like blah 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 blah. But okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I could have done better?
I say this all the time, and I'm gonna say it again. Pizza.
Mm.
I'm a hungry person. I'm always
Yeah, I was
hungry.
gonna say, where's the pizza? I didn't get any
I'm
pizza either.
sorry.
Yeah. So if
It's
you
okay.
could,
I didn't do it either.
that would be awesome. I love a meat lover's pizza with bacon cheese in the crust.
Oh, that's cool.
Ah,
Yeah.
you're making me hungry.
Yeah. Now I want pizza.
Pizza's amazing.
Now you
You
have
have
to
like
order
all the food groups in one place. It's
Right?
perfect.
Right? Right?
I'm sorry.
That's
It's okay.
the end of today's
It's all right.
discussion.
All
Is there anything
right.
else that we want to talk about? Do we?
The doohickey, I'm going over it. I'm just kind of reading one last time, and there's just a few little mini grammatical errors I'm fixing. I have it, and if need be, I can submit it. That's not an issue because I know for week 5 when we started it, I was group leader. So
Okay.
Okay.
How do you download it? How do you download it from Google Docs to submit it?
I think let me go and see if I can share my screen, and if we can do that, that might work. Okay, so hang on one second. So I'm going to go
Okay.
here, and let me pull up our doohickey paper. I already downloaded it, but I'll just kind of walk you through with what I did before to download it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have it pulled up here, I typically go over to File, and it gives you a whole bunch of options, and that's where when you go to download add or as, you can choose what kind of format you want it in, and I just do the Microsoft Word document,
Okay.
and I'll just save it there. And so that way when it saves, it just gets pulled up. Like I said, I was going through it before, kind of formatting it and everything. Yeah, so that's typically what I've done to download it, and yeah.
Okay. I went in and I changed a lot of the headlines to make them all the same.
Yeah.
I know some were a little different, so I just did it all to make it all uniform.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'm more focused
Yeah.
on when I proofread it, just making sure that everything flows. There's not any real grammatical errors, or if something's misspelled, just go and respell it and just kind of make sure that I know everyone has you all did a great job in writing it. You guys are amazing, and you deserve pizza. And if I had it, I would find a way to share it with you. So with that in mind, you guys did a phenomenal job. I can't thank you enough. And I'm just going to go through and, like I said, just make sure everything kind of flows all together. And it, like we work on the transition from paragraph to paragraph, just minor little like cosmetics. And then after that, I'll submit it.
All right, sounds great. So the next three topics are what? Compensation, wage and hour laws, and discipline, right?
Right. My folder is somewhere else. So well.
Yeah, I wrote them down. I looked at them.
Yay, you are awesome. Thank you. I had them written down. I just don't have my folder with me. Go figure.
Right.
So now I'm just like crap baskets. So yeah. But I figure we can go and figure out who's writing what.
When do you want to do that?
Whenever you guys want to do it.
I think
Well-
Matthew, you said you want to do wage and hour laws, right?
Yeah, would you guys mind? My schedule next week is gonna get a little busier, so I was just trying to get a head start.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
No, wait a minute. No, you were going to do the biggest problem, the summary of the biggest problem.
Yeah,
The
summary.
biggest
Okay.
And I was gonna the hour or the wage and hour laws.
Okay.
issue, and it was wages basically.
Yeah.
Or the biggest issue is wages.
Yeah, wages and hour laws.
Okay, an hour loss. Thank you.
So that means you'll be doing the summary, but somebody else could do the three suggestions on how to improve on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys take whatever you want, and I can do whatever's left. It's no big deal.
It doesn't matter to me. I'll do what anyone wants me to do.
Same.
All right. Well, I'll take compensation then.
Okay. What are
I'll do compensation.
the categories?
Compensation, wage and hour laws, and discipline.
I'll do discipline
Aaron,
Okay.
that one with everybody.
So we have wage, discipline. Is hour laws also with the compensation?
No, hour laws is with wage.
Okay.
Yeah, with wages.
That's less than 10.
Okay.
Less than 9 was compensation. Less than 10 was wage and hour laws. Like you have to pay minimum wage, but and you have to pay overtime, and you have to pay fair, whatever, all that
Okay.
stuff.
I think it's kind of cool how each lesson is broken down into things we need to write about for doohickey.
Yes, that is really helpful. In all honesty, makes a big difference. So we have 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
We have clearly safety is one of the things that needs to be covered, right? Or no, we covered safety.
It was last time.
Yeah.
I think last time was workplace safety.
Compensation, employee benefits, discipline, and wage and hour laws, and then organized labor. When's the next doohickey due, if you don't mind me asking?
That I'd have to look up. The thing about I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think it's week 11.
11? Okay.
Well, the thing is, there were 6 topics left, and 2 of them were covered by less than 10.
Okay.
But 11, 12, and 13 are the last 3, and less than 14 is just the course conclusion.
Okay. So let's
So I
see.
thought, the way I understood it was lessons 9 and 10 covered the 3 topics, the 3 next topics: compensation, wage and hour laws, and discipline. Whereas
Okay.
11, 12, and 13 covered the last 3.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks
Yep.
like our next doohickey is due on the 11th, or week 11, sorry.
Week 11. Okay.
Yep, and then
Aaron has discipline, compensation.
I have that one.
and then the final doohickey is due in week 14. So
Correct. So then, James, you're doing compensation and employee benefits, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, making notes.
you're good. Whatever's left over, whatever you need me to do, let me know, and I'll do it.
I'm trying to find
Sorry,
something.
I don't have the thing up in front of me at the moment.
You what? What's that?
Discipline. And then, Aaron, were you just wanting to do discipline, or did you want to do wage and hour laws?
Is that open too, or?
I know it's those 2 are combined in lesson 10,
So it's with discipline and wage.
or hour laws. So I figure if you want, you could do discipline, and then we can have hour laws covered either by Alex or myself.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Alex,
I can do both. It's fine.
okay.
You want
So
to
it's
go?
wage, hour laws, and discipline.
Yeah, discipline and wage and hour laws.
Okay.
And then
Is that all one? Is that all one category?
Yeah.
I thought it was 2, but maybe we should email our instructor and find out which of the 3 ones we should cover.
Yeah.
What I thought it was those compensation, wage, and hour laws and discipline are the 3 next ones, and then organized labor, dismissing employees in workplace and society was the last 3 for the last doohickey's paper. But we can email our instructor and find out just exactly which ones
Yeah.
if we need to.
Because I'm almost thinking for because we're getting started on lesson 8, so do 9, 10, 11. So I'm almost thinking
Right.
about having organized labor a part of this week's doohickey. Because as
Like
it
as
stands, we only have discipline and compensation and employee benefits. And we have Aaron and James covering that. So I'm
Right.
trying to think of something else that I can do.
Well, we can.
So-
Okay.
So we're working on the doohickey that's due in week 11 right now. That's the one we're talking about, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So if I click on or week 9, is that where it has the information for the next week's doohickey, or is that in this week?
I'm honestly on just table of contents, and I'm just kind of looking at each week and seeing what the headings are, and then with that, I just kind of see where the doohickeys are due.
Oh,
And I think if you click for like week 8, sorry, let's see what it has for the doohickey stuff.
Okay, not that one. Excuse me.
Yeah, I don't think this one has any specific lessons. It just says do at the end of weeks 5, 8, 11, and 14. And with the way we did it so far, we've had where that week it's supposed to be submitted is part of the previous doohickey. So for 5, we included the lesson 5 doohickey, and then we did 6, 7, 8, and then that's why I'm thinking 9, 10, and 11.
So 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that makes sense. And then the last week's 12, 13, 14.
Right.
But
14 is just forced conclusion, though.
Yeah. I think that's, and I'm not for sure. I almost want to say for our final exam. Well, actually, no, it has like a doohickey problem on there. So I think that could be like a cap of overall, either that or if there's something we can cover, we can do that. Let me kind of see what it has for 14 real quick. Instructions, you're not giving that to me, you stinker. Okay, it's not opened yet, I'm sorry, so I can't access it.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Well, should we send our instructor an email and ask her which ones it covers for this time?
Yeah,
wouldn't hurt.
because as it stands, Matthew, James, Aaron, you all have assignments, and then Alex and I are kind of like not really doing anything, and
Fish out of water.
yeah.
Feeling left out?
Yeah, a little bit, not bad.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I can email her, and then when I get her response back, I'll tell her I can pass that along to everybody.
Okay. You just email it to the group.
Yeah, I'll just forward it to everybody.
Thank you. And then that way, depending on what we need to do, we can find something for Alex and I to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe have somebody proofread and
Yeah.
something else. Somebody else to bring pizza.
Yeah.
Think that's
I'll
it?
get everyone's address and
Okay.
Yeah.
send pizza to everyone.
Yeah.
Yes!
If you can
Oh
figure
my
out if you can figure out how to send pizza over the internet, you could be a billionaire. You know that?
I will be your best friend.
Yeah. We will definitely remember you forever.
Use pizza.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I guess I will see you all next week, and I will try and send out like the invitation for the hangout at about probably 7:15. That way you have 15 minutes to kind of get there, get ready and set, and then after that we can get started.
Okay. Perfect.
Sounds good to
Okay.
me.
Thank you guys.
All right.
You are awesome.
Hey,
And I
you
will
guys
submit
too, yeah.
Yeah, have a good week.
Yeah, see you guys too.
All right, you guys too. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.